You feel, however, that we're making progress in this country and worldwide?
No. I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull the knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there.
And over the past few weeks, we've grieved together as the Black community has endured more senseless acts of racial terror and violence. At YouTube, we believe Black lives matter, and we all need to do more to dismantle systemic racism. We're committed to doing better as a platform to center and amplify Black voices and perspectives. And we're working to ensure Black users, artists, and creators can share their stories and be protected from hateful, white supremacist, and bullying content. We know there is much more work for.
It's illegal, they say. It's against regulation. They come down hard. We have to. All right, if you don't take it off before you come in the theater, you don't get in theater. You know, this is the way they do this thing. They said the afro was legal. Am I right or wrong? That's right. That's what they said, it was legal. We can sport an afro. All right, this man, there's a lot of brothers here. This man here has got an afro. This is an afro right here, or somewhat of an afro. It's not big, no. But they want us to wear skin head, what they call it, high and tight. High and tight. It's not my culture. Am I right or wrong? They come over here, they get, all right, a Vietnamese girl. She called me a nigger. A nigga, a Vietnamese girl. I know it's not part of their language. Can't nobody tell me that's part of their language. But I'm going to go over here. The beast, you know that. See, we go over here. We fight. Okay, we fight to defend the water we drink, the land we grow our food on, and our way of culture. We also fight to protect Rockefeller's foundations. We fight to protect J.P. Kennedy's foundation. All these different kind of foundations that the black man can't partake of, you understand? And then we go back. We're continuously harassed. It's not necessary. This ain't what we heard. This is what we know. See, we've seen it from the bird's eye point of view. We are the people here now, see. We see it now. This ain't what we heard, you know.
Also, I know y'all haven't been out in the Ville. Now, just like you said, these Oriental people don't know where the word nigga came from or nothing. They have to learn how to speak it. You go out there in that Ville. The first time I come over here, I goes out in the Ville. I falls into one of these places, and I'm thrown out because I'm black, you know? Because I'm black. They don't like us. They say we start trouble. Now who done put this stuff in their mind? You know what I mean? The beasts came over here and brainwashed these people. We get out here and try to do our thing, and they wants to downrate us.
Right on.
Because we're black. Because the beasts came over here and told them that we ain't nothing but trouble. Right on. Because we got a strong rapper in this.
Good afternoon. This is Rudolf from Germany. I am addressing today specifically Afro-American people. I might be probably the first white man, Aryan German man, who is admitting something to you. I took a long time to think about this video which I'm showing you, a very short one, about the white race. Many of you dark-skinned people, in America mainly, have had a suspicion for a very long time. White people are not really human. And this suspicion has been around for a long, long time. And like any suspicion which is around for a long, long time, there is a little bit of truth to it. I want to admit today to you that white people originating from Northern Europe are called not aliens, they are called Aryans. Sorry about that, my brain don't function so well today. These white people are not really human from this earth like black people are Indian people are, Asian people are. Yes, they are all humans. We white people are actually a minority, and we are, let's face the truth, also called the tall whites. Not all of us are tall, not all of us are completely white, but in general, that's what it is. And as some of you may know, the tall whites are not really earthly human, but we're coming out of space, out of another galaxy. We are not human as the rest of the human race. We came here from another star, we white people, in order to control the world. We white people all have a secret code, a secret language under each other. We know, no matter how nice we pretend to be, we all stick together in order to control the other races, particularly the black race. And I am feeling so bad about it by now that I had to speak out here on this video and admit it. White people are not human. White people, including myself, all stick together, know the truth, which they do not want to admit to you. White people are out of space. We come from another galaxy. We all know our home planet, which we don't want to reveal because we don't want to be attacked. And we have no good intention with you. We do not want to share our wealth with you. We do not want to share our knowledge with you. You have been mistreated hundreds of years ago, and this is very, very bad. And your chances in life, to the most of you, many of you have no chance in life. You can sit and wait for work on a corner with your other friends, and work will never arrive to you. It's very, very hard, I know. And we rich people, we white people, we alien people don't want to share what we have with you, so you have a good time. This is my testimony, public. White people are from another planet. We white people.
Hello and welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I am your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and this is Black Minds News Report. Black Minds News is the report. Articulate, transmit, communicate, insinuate, develop, investigate, decode, unveil, spread the news, whether it's by news, video, website, or quotes from publications. As I articulate this information at the creator of the universe, be here heart, soul, mind, and spirit. Because why? The truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people who created this land that you call the United States, we, today's present generation, we give honor to our ancestors. You know what the matter of my show is? I'm never gonna tell you what I heard. I'm only gonna tell you what I know. Today's date is July 28th, 2020. Again, another episode of Black Minds News Live Report. What we have on the schedule for today is, well, according to as you've seen on the thumbnail, the question that is always saying, they said it's a necessary evil. What did they mean by the necessary evil? And Is we're just pretending to have progress? That is a question that you have to ask yourself. So we're going to go through some news articles and stories that were broke, and it seems to be a theme as to the necessary evil that one says that had to happen in order to get what the outcome it is today, and those who perpetuate the ideology towards that unnecessary evil. Well, again, this is Black Minds News, and stay tuned as we will delve into today's topic. Stay tuned as we get into this broadcast. Hey, how's y'all doing, everybody? Again, this is your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. Last show that I did was the anniversary, 8 years, going on 9 years, that we've been in the business. Used to could get 300,000, 50,000, 30,000, 20,000, 10,000, 5,000, you name it. After doing a video in April 1st of 2014, can't get past 200, 300 video views on one sitting on a show. But anyway, welcome to the most hated show. First and foremost, what's good to my fam? My subscribers and some new subscribers. What's good, fam? Welcome to the Black Minds News family. Tip my hat off to each and every one of you. Passerbys, if you happen to pass by, again, either through to the thumbnail, title of the show. Welcome to the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. We always got a grand opener over here. Go down the aisle, see some things that you happen to see something to make you feel some kind of way. Remember, the motto of my show is the truth. Don't need no partner. Now, we start off with the show with an ancestor of ours that a lot of us revered, had some pride, gave you a sense of what it was to be a person who character and spirit was about what he stood for. And there was an interview that he had, partaken of that time. And it was asking about progress, right? Now, again, we're talking about a celestial elder, now ancestor, Malik El Shabazz, better known as Malcolm X. And what you've seen in that video is that you've seen Malcolm X talk about progress. Now, we know that Malcolm left in February 1965, today being 2020, so we're talking about 55 years ago. The vision, the understanding, and knowledge that Brother Malcolm X had, Elder Brother Malcolm X had, he said, well, progress, he wouldn't say there's no progress. He said, well, it would be like somebody stabbing you in your back with a knife. Progress, they say that the stab went in 9 inches. And that progress would be like if somebody decided to take the 9 inches and pull the knife back about 6 inches. Would you consider that progress, right? It goes on, it says that because someone may take the knife and pull it out, would you still say that's progress? Now, the reason why I want to use that is because we have a lot of people, when you look at the different philosophies and teachings that a lot of our people, because we're spread like an open hand, use as their, I guess they say, coping mechanisms to deal with what we endure here in these United States, right? And so when you look at the time that Malik El Shabazz, better known as Malcolm X, and at that time you had the Nation of Islam, Malcolm X was making this transition to transform from that and start to get into different realms that he felt that he needed to do as to bringing change about from the way he saw it. But you had other nations that existed just as well. You know, a lot of times you can surf here on the black corner of the internet and you have different people who talk about, again, different philosophies and ideologies and different teachings from different sects. Not S-E-X, but S-E-C-T-S, right? Sects. And so when we go back and look, because again, there's a lot of people who would like to think that looking back or staying back is somehow victim, right? Now, again, we're going to stick on what Malcolm X talked about, the knife and the 9 inches pulling out 6 or taking it out. See, to me, when Malcolm says take the knife from the 9 and pull it to the 6, and somebody might think that's progress. And even if they took the knife out entirely, that might be considered progress. But as Malcolm said, here's the people who won't even acknowledge that you even had the knife or even been stabbed. Cool? Okay? So let's look at this. So if you were to be stabbed, hypothetically speaking, and someone comes to aid you and pulls the knife out of you, are you thankful because they took the knife out and the job is done? Or can the knife in itself create more damage? Create, let's say it creates more damage and may allow you to bleed more profusely, right? So is it progress that the person came to aid you and take the knife out? Or is it aid after the fact that, let's say somebody gets the ambulance, they get you there in time, get you to the hospital, all the necessary, whether it be professions, people who know about medicine and utensils, right? All the medical equipment is needed to get you back to what they consider recovery. Now, after you done went through that ordeal about healing and recuperating, what would come across your mind after you done endured all that? What would come across your mind? You would say, for myself speaking, what the hell the fuck stabbed me? Let me say that again. After you've gone through being stabbed, person who tried to aid you, tried to pull the knife out, made it cause more, but got somebody there to help you, got you to the ambulance, got you to the hospital. You went through the whole process of going through, to recuperate, recover, and to heal. You survived that. Now it's about who stabbed you. Okay? But that would be a person who would come to that understanding. Many of our people are satisfied with the knife just being 9 inches deep. Maybe not hitting anything vital. Maybe it was discomfort and pain, but you survived. You're forgivable or forgiving. Never to question who was it that stabbed you, right? And so you, under certain doctrines, have been taught not to look at who stabbed you, right? And so we have to ask ourselves, how did we become like that? Was it these other factions of, let's say, ideologies that took us away from not focusing on who stabbed you. Yeah, people got into about the continent, which again, it's not a bad thing, but somebody stabbed you. But you want to focus on history of the continent. Some focus on Egyptology. Some focus about religions that were foreign from the nation that you are in. Now, again, many people would say, well, some of our people came here with that knowledge, and I'm not saying they didn't. We're talking about the time when they said there was a black renaissance trying to get to know thyself. And what happened is a lot of different facets of ideology started to sprout. Okay? So we got away from focusing on who stabbed me in my back. And so the question becomes, did that stagnate our progress, or was we pretending that this was progress? Did we pretend this was progress? Because we started to get some knowledge about things. But let's look in the long run. These organizations have been around for 80, 90, 100 years. And what you see on some of these channels in the Black Corner, that they talk about how those who do not know the knowledge of what ideology they teach, that you are considered to be, not in the know. And for many, I have to question is like, would you consider a lot of the black organizations as considered like secret societies in those infancy era times coming up, let's say from 50s going all the way up to now? Would you consider those organizations to have been like secret societies? And what do you mean by that, Mr. Blow? What I mean is, when you talk about the black organizations and what they start to get our people to delve into and get us away from dealing with what we were encountering and dealing with, did it stagnate us? Or was that a pacifier so that we would not have to deal with who stabbed us in our back? And when you look at some of this stuff, I'll give you and pose it to you. Let's say if you talk about the Jehovah's Witnesses, right? Some people laugh, smile, right? But you know what they known for? They know for what? Huh? When you hear that at the door, see some people out there with that suit and that bag and that Bible, you hear that? When you hear that? Now, might have caught you, you didn't pay attention, you open that door and you seen them there. Either you could be, like Friday, Ice Cube was like, and she said, are you prepared to see Jehovah? And you could slam the door on you and and all that. Or you could be a little courtesy about it and go ahead and let them go ahead and do what they have to do, show some interest and let them do what they do. And then that'd be the end of it for you, that you said, okay, next time they come. Or then when they do come back, don't nobody goddamn move, okay? Shut the fuck up. They're at the door. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is this. What's synonymous with that organization? Versus, as I said, those other ones who seem to be a secluded, if you didn't know somebody who brought you in, a lot of them say they were on the corners talking to people, but what kind of numbers were they bringing in as into the organization? If we're going to be honest about it, right? And the reason why I use the Jehovah's Witnesses is because ain't nothing more personal than somebody doing what? Coming to your door and do that, right? Nothing more personal than that. So why is it that an organization like the Jehovah's Witnesses have so many black people in it? Then if you probably put the numbers side by side with some of these other organizations I'm talking about, they're probably bigger than them. And the reason why I'm saying it is because they became up and personal with you. If you're seeking, they say, if you're out here fishing You got to have the right bait. And so if somebody come to your door on somewhat of a consistent base, eventually somebody going to answer, right? And so how is it that people talk about all this, about these organizations and how, and we should be knowing it at this day and time, and you have not galvanized all the people? So that allows for things for like what's happened with the Black Lives Matter movement to be usurped by other people. See, a white man should have never been able to create off the slogan, to create the organization and use other people to facilitate it and then hide behind it with white people to do all the dirty work in the name of Black Lives Matter. So then we had to say, was there failing in a lot of our black organizations when it comes to galvanizing our people? And is it because, and I'm not blanking and saying all, but maybe it has something to do with not trying to deal with who stabbed me in my back. So what we see now in this day and age, as we go more to this story here, or into these news stories here, how the theme will show that was there a game we were playing, right? Did the necessary evil that was put upon us, in order for us to find some relief, did we have to pretend that there was progress? Did we pretend that there was progress? And so now we in 2020, and a lot of things are manifesting itself. People are, having kind of, what's the guerrilla militias, organizations that are rogue, but they all have the title or the image as they represent us. Now, those organizations who were, let's say, FUBU, for us, by us, that were from the grassroots, and a lot of them may not have the history of good rapport in the beginning, and it kind of mellow out later. And now that you come to this crossroad of now recognizing who it is that done stabbed you in your back, people are saying progress. There has been progress. As we did the other show when Mice Q had his interview, right? And had the artist go back over his artwork to redefine what he originally painted, to give it a more softer touch than to be perceived by the viewer and what his interpretation was. Now the artist had to tell you what he meant. So it could have taken away a lot more of the original power it had at once, right? And again, I'm not here, again, my brothers, I love my brothers, the organization that I'm talking about as well. But I'm just saying, as for this topic here, you had the brothers who went into military. You seen that, the brothers that was sitting in there, right? And it was talking about how they going over here to these countries as into one day enlisting in their country's military as part of the requisite that you have to do, and even though getting drafted and so forth. But they went, and here they are in a land that they are not native to, born in, and the people seem to have a attitude with them as if like where they left from home. Now here they is, as he say, we here to actually help these people, but the attitude that they got against us seems to be a very similar sense as like we were at home. Now here we fighting, as he talk about, corporations who benefit from us out here fighting. We're fighting in behalf of you. But even when we come back home, there's a pretend progress. And then they're using terms that they say, well, how the hell did you know to call me that unless somebody is programming you to talk that way about me, right? When you talking to me like that, like that's, like everybody does that. And so I have to believe that you're being told that because that's an English word or English understanding, and here you being, the propaganda machine is being used to put us in a bad light. And a lot of people are not liking us based on this fictitious propaganda that is being displayed, and we're stigmatized by it. But say, well, yeah, and they also the fact that we got enough game, we can pull their women, right? So many times people, again, as we're going to go into these stories here, the necessary evil and the pretending of progress. Because we fight in wars. When they talk about patriotism and contributions to the country, but some odd reason, they say at the end of the rainbow, there's a pot of gold. But at the end of your rainbow, there's only fool's gold. Matter of fact, just not even a pot or nothing. Matter of fact, you can't even find the rainbow. Matter of fact, they done changed the rainbow to mean something entirely different. So, based on these stories that I've seen today, the theme is, again, about the necessary evil and the pretending progress.
So if our viewers couldn't understand what she was saying through her swastika mask, that woman said in the video, quote, "If you vote for Biden, you're going to be living in Nazi Germany. That's what it's going to be like." This incident took place in Marshall, Minnesota on the first day of the state's mandatory mask mandate. For more on this, let's bring in Bo Erickson. He's a CBS News campaign reporter. Bo, great to be speaking with you. Very strange circumstances, though. You actually spoke with people who saw these individuals. What were the shoppers saying, and were they actually confronted?
Well, hi, Lana. You're right. This is a very shocking video that a lot of people saw this weekend. It's been shared thousands and thousands of times already. And it actually is a little personal to me because that is my hometown Walmart store right down the street from my parents' house. So I was able to get a lot of people on the phone real quickly and try to figure out what actually happened here. And it looks like I spoke with the person who actually recorded the video, and she is a Lutheran vicar actually in a nearby town. And she said that she saw these two individuals wearing the swastika masks earlier in the store. She went to go then report them to the store management, and then after that, that is when she turned around and they were checking out right then and there. As you saw, they were confronted by a little group of people, and the person who filmed the video said that it was mostly younger people in the store that took issue with it. So there was this back and forth, and then it came out to be that these two people were trying to use this racist symbol, the swastika, to make a more political point about Joe Biden, the candidate that I cover in the presidential race right now, about that if he is elected, he will make the country socialism. And obviously, the swastika does not mean socialism, it's Nazism. And so the woman was trying to explain this to them in a very offensive way, and I think she needs to check her historical facts.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Bo, as you were talking to people in your hometown there, were you able to figure out either who these people are or get them to explain a little bit more of, because they said that they were trying to protest against fascism, protest against socialism, by wearing these masks as opposed to celebrating Nazi xenophobia and hate crimes. I'm still trying to, I guess we're all still trying to wrap our minds around what was going on there.
Yeah, it was wild. So they said in the store when they were confronted that they weren't Nazis. They were trying to make this political point. So that kind of sent me on a chase to find out who these individuals are. This town is only 15,000 people. So when you go to Walmart in this town, you see a lot of people that you know, and I couldn't really reach anyone to figure out who exactly are these two individuals. But I did contact the local police station there, and they said they were called on these two individuals, and it's a 64-year-old woman and a 59-year-old man. And after they were confronted, it seemed like there was more verbal squabbles on the way out of the store, and so they are actually issued trespass notices, which in my conversations with Walmart means that they will be banned from all Walmart locations for a year. I am still searching for these two individuals to ask them what was going through their brains when they were trying to make this very offensive display to individuals, especially some of the Jewish individuals in my community that I know, and I hope to have answers on that sooner rather than later.
All right, Bo Erickson, when you do have those answers, definitely check back in with us. Thank you.
All right, so we back, right? So again, somewhere in some little hometown in Minnesota, talking about on Saturday that it was considered the first day that there was going to be a Minnesota mandatory mask mandate. So what you seen in the video there was a white man and a white woman decided they want to go to Walmart. Accordingly, as you heard in there must be a town of about 15,000 people. And what you saw is kind of like, well, they decided they believed that this was appropriate to put on the swastika as a mask covering, right? And so what we see is that somebody videotaped it as usual. Some craziness happens out there. Somebody's going to catch it, and then they're going to end up posting it. So it came off Facebook. And you see that what they show, supposedly that you have women or a woman in there who's responding to shoppers, right, which they're probably challenging her. And her response was like, well, if you vote for Biden, you're going to be living in Nazi Germany, right? Do you ever notice that there's a lot of deflection tactic? It's like you always try. It's like, they used to call, Martin Luther King a communist, right? They called a lot of those who were actually fighting against what was going on and what was happening to always try to mislabel them as to be agitators and, oppositional threats to the country. And so somehow Biden winning, even though I'm not advocating for him, but if he wins, it would be like living in Nazi Germany. Well, guess what? We've been in Nazi Germany before, even if it was Biden. Let me say that again. I think we already been living in Nazi Germany before there was even a Biden. When you really think about the history here and what happened, what they call Project Paperclip, right? I don't know, those who are avid watchers of my show remember when I did the topic on Project Paperclip and how that the nations after that war between Russia, United States, and it was this fight for who would actually get the scientists that were part of that was going on in Auschwitz, and bring them here and to, teach them and develop their technology. So with that being said, and we as who we are as BADOS in this land, what is that about? See, 45, we in 2020, we talking about what's that, about 75 years? How much stuff can be done in 75 years as to science projects and things like that that could be, as we see certain types of viruses that seem to attack certain ethnicity of peoples and so on and so forth, right? So you have to ask yourself, everybody seems to be like, they got problems, but what was the problem in that? Right after them Nuremberg trials and things, a lot of people who they brought here, who they said, but they were right here in this country. And a lot of them, when they died, according to, again, those who've seen that, when I displayed that, when the woman, I forgot her name, that spoke about it, was saying how they sent them off when they did pass. They kind of like put statues out here about people who, when you look at their history and how horrendous their history is being told, that they sent them off to have them a good name, right? So this word socialism, right, and Darwinism, and all this is European stuff. There ain't nothing African or black about none of this stuff. So it's funny how they try to use like, well, oh yeah, socialism, this one here is, Bolshevikism and all this, right? All this shit is European shit. That ain't black shit. So it's like, really, okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I go. I mean, they don't see how everything is inundated about them. So when you try to make the difference between, well, I'm Republican and I'm Democrat, I'm conservative, I'm all that shit is all the same shit. It's the same people. Different little bits of twists in terms of the agenda, but at the end of that agenda, they all got one ideology towards what they're trying to achieve, the goal. So that's the person who stabbed you in your damn back, right? Again, as you talk on this video here, you showed that somebody said they put the middle finger up, blew a kiss from behind the mask, right? Now, the person who supposedly did this video name was Raphael Mueller, right? About 24 years old, was a local Lutheran vicar, right? That's some vicar. You know what the vicar is? V-I-C-A-R? The vicar. That is the one that's supposed to be like with Christ, representation of Christ on earth, right? Can't you believe that? That they actually be giving themselves titles like that. So again, it's like, when you look outside of themselves, obviously they can't do that. But when we who are not like you, and when you say that because we don't respect and we don't honor and we need to get out of here, but again, the way that we've been treated under these things that you uphold and hold dear to your heart, you act as if like we don't have a legitimate reason for whatever position somebody might decide to take. And so if somebody, it's kind of like a little kid that like want to make you try to do everything they do, and then you don't do it. They want to take their ball, take their toys, cry, and I'm not your friend, all right. All this kind of nonsense, right? And so here it was, two white people who felt like it was appropriate to them to come out and have this in there. But I'm not hearing nothing in the conversation about anti-Semitism. Have you noticed that? No one has mentioned anti-Semitism. Why? Because they're white? Is that what it is? Oh, they got banned out of Walmart for a whole year, right? Whole year. And Nick Cannon is going on a world tour, apologizing, got to go to Auschwitz, got to talk to the highest of priests of the rabbi. And all he said is, according to some stuff that he said he recited from books that nobody wanted to question whether it's authentic or not, but because we deem, and then they would use a certain organization as if the same organization ain't by the same damn people. And, right? But I ain't hear nobody coming out right off the bat. Well, they're 64 and 59 years of age, and I haven't heard once them being deemed as anti-Semitics. So as you heard somebody say that they were sick. You know, they were sick for being in here like that, right? You can't be American wearing that mask. Why not? You get what I'm saying? See, because of different generations in this country, baby boomers, Gen X, and there may even be some even before the baby boomers, right? There might be still some of them left. There was part of the old country. Now, you know, Gen X is the crossover. It's the end of that old school and the beginning of that new school, right? So Gen X kind of got some, you know, they know about the endings of this transition of trying to change the game to what they say that was, and they was trying not to be overtly doing it. But as you get closer, the more, you know, of the millennials and stuff like that, it's kind of like you believe the hype. You believe what you read, right? And because you're so young, and when somebody talk about something that seems to you to be 1,000 years ago, you can't see that it is more prevalent as today in your life, or it's not as far away from you. And there's people who are living who amongst you that actually were a part of those atrocities, and it wasn't all just about civil war and on the plantation. Get what I'm saying? And so to say that you're not American because you wear the mask, why? What's the difference between those who wore the mask, right, that mask represent, and those who was in Germany when you are a lot of them, again, you know, I think the most spoken language in this country is German. So that means there's a lot of German folks in this country. Right? Now you see, you know, white is white and so forth, but the Germans are more. And so guess what? So then, you know, what they say, skin, everything in my skin is my kin. So look at how as we as BADOS in this land and the treatment we've gone through, and then somebody else who's not, and that's another thing. Have y'all noticed that during that last week or 2 weeks ago when we was all talking about anti-Semitism and all that, how is it that we as the BADOS of this land and what we've gone through in this land, how does somebody whose atrocity in history didn't take place here, but somehow is taking precedence over our history who is from here? Let me say that again. How is it that we, who are the BADOS, the Black American descendants of slaves of this land, and again, whatever your stance is as to where you say people were being anti-Semitic, fine. My issue is, how is it that we, the Black American descendants of slaves, and the atrocity of the history that has been upon us and still upon us till this day, that you come and try to put a trump card on our history? This ain't Germany. Okay, you got survivors that came here. What does that got to do with me and my bloodline and the history of what befell and continue with us? What? So it's again, see, the necessary evil pretending progress. Huh? So you will have people that come in and think that that's okay, because why? That still permeates. It ain't gone. You know, they don't really go after them. You know what I'm saying? As they, you know, when they start talking about, when they start seeing, that's why they try to put Minister Louis Farrakhan as the boogeyman, and equate him as Black Hitler, right? But yet the people who've been attacking them consistently are not that depiction of that individual or the people like them. But they know they better not get in them because they don't get no. You get what I'm saying? They don't give no. So they don't really try to get in it with them. They try to plead to the government and do something about it. But they don't make no real big stink about it. They don't get on there and talk about all the anti. But see, the bully likes picking on the little one. But that other one who wouldn't give 2 cents about you, you don't really raise his head. That's why they feel comfortable doing what they're doing. And yet the dude that was in here in the interview was like, well, you know, there are Jewish people that is in this community and they didn't like it. But that was as far as that went. And never once were they mentioned to be anti-Semitic. Did you notice that? No one once mentioned them in that light. And what else would you look at it as, right? Now, they talked about as this pair, these two pairs, or this pair of people, right, who when they left the store, they said that the man that was in the store that was wearing the swastika mask was punched in the face by a fellow shopper. So somebody clocked my man in his face. You didn't see that? They didn't mention it. Why they didn't mention that and talk about none of that? Why they didn't say that, right? And guess who was the one that actually confirmed this? It was the Marshall police chief, Jim Marshall, right? He said that's what happened. Said my man got punched in his damn face when he got outside. And they said the man who did punch, he fled before police arrived. So, but they asked the swastika man, did he want to pursue any criminal charges for the punching in the face, right? And so I don't know if that's to be continued, but again, is there any video to that? Or is that trying to make a wrong and another wrong to, you know, alleviate some off of them? We don't know. We didn't see no video, but that's what the report said, that somebody punched him in the damn face, right? So you know what Walmart had to do? They had to come up with the PR work. And you know how they say, well, what happened today at our store in Marshall, Minnesota is unacceptable. We strive to provide a safe and comfortable shopping environment for all our customers and will not tolerate any forms of discrimination or harassment in any aspect of our business. We are asking everyone to wear face coverings when they enter our stores for their safety and the safety of others. And it's unfortunate that some individuals have taken this pandemic as an opportunity to create distressing situations for customers and associates in our store. Now, what I just read to you, right? Or what I said as to the statements they said, right? So there was really no laws broken. There really was no law broken, right? Right? There really was not no law broken about what they did. Is there a law that says you cannot wear what you seen? Right? Can you or can you not do that? Can you do that? Can you wear that? Right? Now, I guess that will have to be by, you know, the organ, I guess the ADL and uproar about what the people, Jewish people of the country, right? So here they was, right? Here they go, right? Right? They got the big round right on their head face, right? They got just like that. So we should be seeing that they should be labeled anti-Semitics, right? All this stuff that again we just went through the last 2 weeks, a week and a half, and the stuff that again. Matter of fact, hold on. Let's see. I think you can do that, right? You can do that, right? Go ahead and do that. Go on and put that up in the if it's up there, if you got it up there, right? Do we got that? I think we got it. Yeah, I think we got it. Go on and put that up there. Right? Go on and put that up there, right? Yeah, go ahead and do it. See? Right? Remember, they went and put the big old article on there with Ice Cube, Farrakhan, Nick Cannon, and Puffy Combs, right? Put them in the big article, right? Saying that, you know, actors and now they out here being anti-Semitics. Now, Is that gonna happen here too? Or they're not big enough? These not big enough fish. These little fish, right? And you don't know, and they in Minnesota, so it's like kind of like the same place that we talking about with George Floyd, right? And somebody sitting there with the smirk on his face and got his knee in your neck and like, you know, got qualified immunity protecting me, right? I got qualified immunity protecting me, so I don't know what you guys talking about, right? So I guess there'll be more developing about that as well, right? So, you know, end up talking to somebody who said that the history of the swastika, so now they go into the history of the swastika and about Nazi Germany and how it's personal to this person here, right? And she's a German citizen. Now, again, that's kind of like saying that if Black Americans were to go all around the world, could we monopolize about slavery wherever we go, and every time something we could be able to put that on them? Or is it because in the nation that we in, we make it more prevalent and knowledgeable to the people in our country? Now, I know they say that they do what they do because they say they want to make sure that everybody don't know, nobody never forgets. But what about what happened to we as Black people across the globe? Because I remember when I think about that interview with Nick Cannon and that rabbi, he said something to the fact about a survivor of the Holocaust who lost 89 of his family members, and that if anybody who should, you know what evil is or what evil of the world is, it would be them, nobody else. Ain't that something? Anything to take off what done happened to us. It's a tragedy what done happened to you and your people. But that didn't happen here. That happened in Germany. That didn't happen in the United States. Matter of fact, if we be honest about it, and I don't think nobody really want to talk about that, is where did a lot of those, let's say, Russian Jews and Polish Jews, where did they come? They was here in the I think it was here in the 1840s and 50s. Did a lot of y'all know that? That a lot of the Jewish people, I take that, German Jews came first, right? It was the German Jews, Russian Jews, Polish Jews came here. They was actually calling this place the Holy Land. There wasn't no Israel yet. They was coming here. And guess what? As we are being relinquished and so-called emancipated, guess who was coming behind and coming into agriculture? Because when you start thinking about HBCUs, remember that they was making these, again, remember when Malcolm X was like, I want to use them. I want to be a lawyer. No, you're good with your hands, right? Remember that whole thing about Black man, you want to be agriculture. But see, that was a trick too. Because guess what? When they was building them HBCUs and making these colleges about agricultural, the education for agriculture, guess who it was that was coming in and who they was setting up? They had funds. See, this is what I'm talking about. A lot of people like to say, we like to take something from this group of people and use this and how they pull themselves on the bootstrap without you even actually knowing the whole damn story. Let me say that again. A lot of people you will hear will say, well, we like how you guys came out of those ghettos and, stuck to your religion and pulled yourself by your bootstrap. You know what you don't know about their history? They had men that was funding them, that was putting funds, and they putting money that was building up, and they used the agriculture and built themselves up. They went up in Chicago and they was up in New Jersey and, do you not know that how many, I think by the time it was by 1920, there was over 3,000, I think it was over 3,100 different, what they call those, synagogues. So don't let them sell that game and talk about how like they just came here. They was right there basically when we was here. But that's a part of the story nobody want to talk, because again, the reason why nobody want to really talk about that is because you're going to start finding out when you start going back, as we're going later, I'll talk about, which is, we'll talk about when we get there. I won't get there. I ain't going to jump past that. But anyway, right? So I'll get back there. Don't worry about it. I'm going to go back there. Okay? So again, they want to go with the story about in Germany and the swastika. Okay, we get that. But I'm just saying how everybody keep coming trying to trump over the land of the history, which this is the land that it happened in. You can't come in and bump me about what happened to you. Now, if I go to Germany with you, then I have to kneel to Zog, right? But when you here, you have to respect the fact that this is the land of my oppression. But y'all don't want to respect that. But they're telling us about, obedience and patriotism. And yet everything in this country, from the way it's been built to the wars that's been fought, who more patriotic than we as BADOS in this land? A lot of y'all like to tell yourself a whole lot of lies. So again, according to them, they talk about this town that got 15,000 people has diversified in the last 40 years, right? Growing Latino, East Africans, Asian immigrants, and Jewish community. But guess what you don't have? BADOS in there, right? A lot of people are a lot comfortable when we not amongst them. You know what I'm saying? When they know you ain't BADOS, they're a lot more comfortable with you. But when you around, everybody ain't too comfortable for some odd reason. I wonder what that's about, right? Right? You come around and all of a sudden now everybody don't feel too good because you in the presence. Because why? You know and see them, and that's what they want to see. So when somebody like Mr. Blow Your Mind talking, you see right there like, your uncle, I don't like him. You know what I'm saying? Or what, all that nonsense, right? It's because why? Knowing thyself. Once you start knowing thyself and you know who and what took place, then sitting amongst people, once they know you know that, then I guess they're not gonna like you, right? They ain't gonna have no, it's not gonna be there, right? And so they try to say that the women in the store said they are not Nazis, right? They had said that. They had somebody who knew who they were, right? Matter of fact, they used the Nazi swastika to bring attention to what they believe is bad. Do I approve swastika use for my reason? Absolutely not. It was somewhat comforting to me to see people objecting it, right? Right. And so the woman in the store said that those who displayed that, they were not Nazis. But again, see, this is this uncoldness that white people, even though they wrong, just like, again, you can hear Mike Dicker and he gonna say, okay, about the kneeling, and then you don't want to hear this. And again, like I said, you could be damn wrong and they're gonna ride that shit. That's cold. Riding wrong, like to catch you riding dirty, catch you riding wrong, and still gonna stick to the story no matter what. Because said they were brazen of the symbol in public display. And at a time when anti-Semitic incidents of assault, vandalism, and harassment are at the highest rates in the United States since 1979, I don't know how that can. Right? Trying to trump black oppression. This is what this is all about. How can somebody say that, okay, you're saying that the anti-Semitic assaults and vandalism and harassment is the highest in the rate in the United States since 1979. And this is the Anti-Defamation League noted in May, right? So you're going to go to the Anti-Defamation League and say, see, they said that right there, right? And they said there were more than 2,000 such incidents in 2019. Of that 2,000 incidents, how many of them is that 50% was that black? 75% of that was black? 90% of that was black? What percentage of those 2,000 incidents in 2019 were black people? Now, I have seen some stories where, again, I seen some things that took place, right? Where there was some black people who they did blow it up, but don't tell me that that's 90, don't tell me that, right? But see, that's a blanket statement. So I mean, like, okay, but then the people who you're plastering, you're saying that's them, but you don't plaster them out there. See, it's kind of like that person went on cold. Yeah, they displayed it, you know what I'm saying? It was a brazen example of showing their symbols in public, but, you know, and this is a time where it's all high, but they're not Nazis. Right? See? Always on cold with each other, regardless how wrong they can be. Right? And so, you know, when you start thinking about the origin of that swastika, right? Now, again, as they say, it comes from the Sanskrit swastika with a V, swastika, right? And it means good fortune, right? Or well-being. Now, the motif, which is that hook cross, they said, now when they say this, it appeared first used in Eurasia, right? That's Euro-Asia combined together. Did actually Europe even exist? Or Europe was something that ended up being carved up and stay was roped in over there. Now you're going to try to, if Asia's all the way across and then you got this little area here that you're going to call Europe, now all of a sudden that Europe is some kind of continent. But it's still all on the same connecting landmass. So when you built the damn, what is that, the canal? What is that, the Suez, not the Suez Canal. Is that the Suez Canal? To sever it so that it can't be said it was going, that it wasn't part of Africa. You had to do that in order so that it can't be Africa, huh? But you can say that Eurasia is Europe and Asia is two different continents. Where's the break at? Where the break at in that at? But anyway, now I said that says as early as 7,000 years ago the swastika had been used, right? And when they talk about the sacred symbol, they talk about how the Hindus, the Buddhas, and the Jainisms, and the Odinism. Now, Odin, I know, is a Europe thing, right? Now, when you talk about Hindu and all that, that's in India, right? Right? Because you know that white folks' origin, as they say, they're Indo-Europeans, right? And that's what that whole thing, they went over there and talk about Iran, right? Because Aryans and Iran, and we're going to take that from them, right? So according, you know, they talk about that Heinrich Schliemann, he discovered the hook cross on the site of an ancient Troy. And then he found some pottery in Germany and speculated that it was a significant religious symbol of the remote ancestors. Okay, ain't that something? Right? And they believe they shared an Aryan culture. Now, the thing is, come to find out that the Aryan is a myth. Come to find out, do some digging, you're going to find that the Aryan ain't them, it's somebody else. Right? Anyway, but that's the whole thing about now. Everything is coming unraveled, everything is being revealed, and the problem is what you come to find out is, like, you know, when you've been lied to for generations and generations and generations, and now the truth is starting to come out, it's like, what, you gonna have nothing left? You ain't gonna have nothing to hold on. So I mean, I don't, you know, how does one even function after that? Or you just go into denial mode and make other people enemies and then try to go at them to try to stop the fact that everything's being exposed. Maybe that's the agenda there. Ain't gonna no problem to it. That is, they ain't gonna tell with a Herman, tell with a no. Right? So anyway, you know, you gotta ask yourself who probably brought it into India. It was found in Africa and many places in Africa too. Now, is it after them or is it before them? But they ain't gonna never say what you did is before them. They're never gonna say that, right? You know, they had this whole thing of the use of the swastika stem from some 19th century work, and where scholars were translating old Indian texts, right? And they know the similarities between the old language and Sanskrit. concluded that the Indians and Germans must have had a shared ancestry and imagined a race of white godlike warriors they called Aryans. See? When you got no history, you got to create a history. And so now that you got a history, and then now that people want to talk about the history of what really took place, they can't talk about your history because your history isn't so, this imagined thing that you want to make them prepare yourself. The truth of what it is going to be what it is, and you don't like what you see when you look in the mirror. So that just goes to tell that maybe things that y'all been told ain't been true. You know it ain't true. So it seems like the only people who got a history is the people, everybody trying to make them seem like they didn't contribute nothing to the damn planet. But they the one got culture, right? History, the whole nine. But it's all being suppressed, it's being stolen. You're taking a lot of the artifacts and taking and put them into places and you use it to glorify you. But where is y'all's at? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. Okay? So enough of that, right? I ain't gonna talk no more about that. It is what it is, right? Don't need to go more on that. So, check this out. I'm moving on. I ain't gonna talk about that no more. Move on to this. Check this out.
Clashes erupted in multiple cities. The protests focused around police brutality were seemingly inflamed by President Trump's plans to deploy more federal agents. Many demonstrators say the violence undermines their message. In Austin, Texas, one man was killed during a march there. Carter Evans has been following the unrest.
Footage uploaded to Facebook captures the moments shots rang out in downtown Austin. About 100 people were marching at the time. One of them, 28-year-old Garrett Foster, was killed. Police say Foster, who had protested regularly since the death of George Floyd, was legally carrying an AK-47 at the time. He and other protesters, according to authorities, surrounded a car after the driver turned aggressively toward demonstrators. The driver opened fire, striking Foster before speeding away. The driver later called 911 and claims Foster pointed a rifle at them before they fired in return.
His wife being African American and he being a champion of justice and wanting to make sure that all people are treated fairly and equally.
In Aurora, Colorado, a blue Jeep barreled through a sea of protesters who quickly parted to avoid being hit. Police say one person opened fire, wounding at least one other demonstrator. Police declared a riot in Seattle Saturday night after vandals set fires and destroyed property. Authorities deployed tear gas and pepper spray. Daryl Bro's car was seriously damaged in the melee, and she says those using the demonstrations as cover for mayhem are drowning out the positive meaning of the protests.
Almost 45 years I've been black. This is what Black Lives Matter does. I'm not with it.
Those protests are drawing inspiration from Portland, where people have been gathering for nearly 60 days and nights. Tear gas was fired again Sunday, with some using signs and leaf blowers to push the gas back on officers. Peaceful protesters like these two nurses were caught in the crossfire.
That was my first time being tear gas, and it's not fun.
There's nothing violent about our protest.
And police here in Los Angeles say what started as a peaceful protest over the weekend got out of hand when a small group of protesters started assaulting police officers. The federal building was vandalized. Well, now President Trump is doubling down, still planning to send federal troops to cities like Chicago, Detroit, and Philadelphia.
black, right? All right, so see how the protesting is looking out there. You ain't talking about this race of white godlike warriors. Look like they police out there, right? And that's what the Aryan is out there busting mugs head to the white meat show, right? And so, again, pretending progress, right? Look at the things that are out there. There has to be protesting, but it looks like it done got out of hand. It's done got out of what originally was about and being co-opted. And now you see who are all out there. But when history is going to be written, who's going to be the main characters to this? Right? And so as we're talking, as I've been talking about, you know, the history and somebody talking about the swastikas and how that's relating to the people who they were associating and said that they were like, and they imagine themselves to be these people. And the more they keep digging and excavating in the history, it keeps coming to find out that it's not them. So what you have now is the co-optation of this Black Lives Matters organization is white folks out there who are angry about how they're being depicted by their ancestors, right? They don't want to carry the burden of what has been in history, because some of them have come to the realization that what they've been told was they were spoon-fed to believe, but then when they got their eyes open, they realized, and here's the people who are on the other side of what the people who they hold in high esteem, and the degradation and disenfranchise of their lives. And, you know, the new thing is trying to be all diversification and the diversified peoples, that how can I look you in the eye when I know, you know, and understand. And so where you think all them ideas about tearing down them statues are coming from, and attacking certain buildings and out there fighting the police and all that? Is that black ideology? Is black people talking about, hey, let's get some, let's get some tree leaf blowers, and when they do the gas, we're going to point that and blow that back at them. We're going to go get some fireworks and M80s, and we're going to throw that shit at the cops. Is that what black people think about? We trying to get the fuck away from them motherfuckers. We ain't trying to get into it now. We're going to do what we got to do when it comes to the protesting. Those who, you know, out there doing what they got to do, protesting and shit after night. Anything goes at night. And I guess if they weren't out there, you understand? And that's probably why we ain't hear nobody being shot up, is because they out there. If it be all us out there, you best believe, right? We know better than that. So the problem is getting a very black eye out there, right? They getting a very black eye because it says Black Lives Matter, but the people who are out there, they ain't about them. So the question becomes, why y'all out there like that? Because they trying to destroy, right? They want all that destroyed because they the one who have to live with that. They don't want to have to live with the inheritable, let's put it this way. The inheritable insurance policy of what their ancestors and the good graces of their life, and how luxurious and plantation and can do what you want, rape black people all you want. Now they have to live with all that you left for them, which is the guilt that you didn't have any. So now you left it on them. And so that's what they're fighting against. They're fighting against not trying to be living with that label. That's a monster they got to carry on their back. See, it's one thing because you could tell why that's true. Because all you got to do is get on here in this black corner and start talking about truth. Suppress you and make sure your channels and taking your subscribers away. Do all these things, right? In the name of the fact that you're saying something they don't want to hear. So if you can't say it then guess what happens now that the younger ones fraternizing with other people other than themselves, and what they're learning from them and how they done learned about their history, and they come to see that and read this stuff, and they're like, hey, man. And then you're saying white people out here saying, I'm tired of everything hating about white people. Hey, man, this been going on a long-ass time. This didn't start yesterday. So if you just born in and talking about, I'm tired of hearing how bad white people is, get out of the white schools, right? And go read some of the black publications of stuff that's going to tell them from that perspective. Not the stuff they're going to revise the history and trying to make it seem as if like everything was everything is good, right? But that's just what it is, right? You know? Put the blinders on a horse and just hopefully that it don't do that, right? See, it's stuff like this here, like this next one I'm about to show, based on the injustices that done happen, right? That they believe they had to do what they going to do, what I'm about to show you here. Now, again, there's some talk in the black corner about this organization. But that's not what I'm here to do. I'm just here to talk about this particular story, but I'll kind of touch a little bit on it. Check this out. I'll be right back.
You see, y'all claim you awake. But when you wake up, you got to get up and do something. Otherwise, you're going to fall back asleep. So I need y'all to agree with me. 4 weeks from today, we're going to come back here and we should have an answer, right? If not, I need y'all to repeat after me. If we don't get the truth, the whole truth, and the motherfucking truth, we are going to burn this motherfucker down.
We are black, right? Okay, so the NFAC, Not Fucking Around Coalition, went out there to bring some attention on the case of Breonna Taylor, right? Based on all that done took place, no one has been apprehended, no one is being accosted, no one is being charged. It's kind of like, well, she got killed and it happened and, you know, it is what it is, right? So they decide after, an incident or something that happened the other day or so, a couple of days ago, where individual other group seemed to accidentally shot itself, but I seen 3 people and I actually got the video to that. And, I'm not sure what I saw there, but, it is what it is. I think I ain't gonna touch that. But anyway, so we see that they out there, and that's probably Grandmaster Jay, right? You heard what he said. They came there to get the truth. And if they don't get the truth, right, that, they singing the old Rick James song, right? We don't need no water. Let this burn, right? Now, was everybody in there agreeing to that? Right? Some people like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't vote for that, right? And so word is on these YouTube black media streets, right? Is people are questioning the, popularity of this group. Again, I also, on a couple shows back, maybe about 3-4 shows back, I did on where they was had a TV interview and it was talking about the NFAC, and I put the information of all the different states and and all that stuff, right? And so we see that they have made their mark. They came in on the Georgia Guidestones. Was it Georgia Guidestones? No, it was the Georgia Park, right? And, had this, some people say it was a photo op, right? And things like that. And this has gained some attention. Some people have done some research and certain things they have found. A lot of people are now questioning as to the real agenda here, right? And it's kind of being divided. Certain people are saying one thing, other people are saying others. And it's like, and I also heard prior to doing this show, I was hearing somebody saying that, they even to the point that even talking about, legalities and things that people are starting to, question certain things. And it's like, wait a minute, hold on. Your organization in itself can affect not just you and those who are participants of it, but it is also affecting everybody who is considered BADOS in this land. And so I think we as BADOS in this land have the right to question any validity of anything that has something to do effect with family, life, and all that other stuff that comes with that. And if it gets to that point, it's kind of like when going back in 2007, when Barack Obama was running for his campaign for presidency, and there was a lot of people who were trying to go in his background to find out, who he was. And there was a person who actually did it from the DMV, and they I think they locked that person up. And it's like, remember, all the records and stuff got sealed. So here it was that you end up becoming president under the assumption that you was BADOS. Whether people start talking about the birthers, we're talking about the birth certificate. And then I seen where his brother got on and talked about certain things and presented certain documentations. So it was like there was a question as to the validity of it. And some people said, well, he black like my skin, he my kin, so it didn't matter. So, okay. And then after all that had been done when it comes through the presidency, and then when you ask yourself, when you look in your bag after you done knocked on the door looking for some treats, you come to find out you didn't get nothing in your bag. But it was okay. You got the elations of the fact that you had somebody who represented you, right? So here's an organization in itself. Some people say the mysterious rise to, popularity. Some people say it might be a pissing contest between one individual and another. And some people are using words and terms that could be, considered to be, detriment to somebody. And so we just going to have to start, looking at everything that everybody's presenting. Because see, we even have protesters under the term of Black Lives Matter. It done been co-op. Certain people are using COINTELPRO, that, the possibility people are using an organization infiltrating blackface, black rent, kind of like Black Lives Matter. You got black women that's supposed to be the founders of it, but it's even bigger than them, right? When it comes to the funding and the money, they're not even a 501c3. So where's this really going to? So anyway, it gets into that. And so when you have an organization like this, and then you got them out there as, military or militia, right? A coalition militia, then you see other, there's videos out here where, the white militia boys, they laughing at you and talking about, oh, you don't really want this smoke. And so, there's some concerns that people are looking out here. And then again, to make certain statements that say, now you're going to have to hold that true. If you don't, what if somebody called the bluff? Then if you do that, again, it's not about being no punk and not being scared. It's that, okay, this is where some people concern might be. So, the black corner is going to keep doing their due diligence, trying to dig and search more. I myself have been doing that, looking at certain things. I will speak more about it appropriately as I get more information. Some of the research I did already, but you heard what it was said there. So again, people making their statements to put their foot down in the ground and draw the line in the sand. And, I guess only time going to be able to reveal, because some people are speculating and questioning. So somebody right and somebody wrong. So we're going to have to stay tuned for a lot of that, right? So, is that pretending progress? Is that pretending progress? A lot of people feel a lot of ways about it because they say, man, we ain't never seen nothing like this. And, you get caught up in your emotions. And if you're not understanding all the different schematics and schemes and strategies in chess, you could be putting yourself in a compromising situation that's not what you asked for. You got to remember not too long ago, they tried to put us in the BIE category, right? Black identity extremists, right? When you think about the Panthers and think about what happened with them, everybody knows the history and talks about it and then say how they murked them all out. But then somewhere in the way that they were, did they fall under what they call like a guerrilla militia? Is that how, I had a book and it was talking about all that, about the guerrilla militia and how that is, how you establish yourself in that. And I looked at what the Black Panthers had did, and I kind of seen like, okay, that's what they probably were doing in a way. They were trying to be a nation inside of a nation. And, they'll make that become an act of war, right? Now, we understand, protecting ourselves using the, Second Amendment and all that. We get that. But, people who are leading and people are questioning, how you rose to power in that kind of fashion, and the people following you and who are, so there's a lot of questions. And so some people just concerned. Same thing like the Black Lives Matter. See, they didn't see all that coming. And now that it's where it's at, look done what it done turn. See, just because you see somebody again, like it's just because Obama ran the White House didn't mean it still wasn't Massa's house. You get what I'm saying? So anyway, stay tuned for more of that. Now, let me show you this here, right? You're talking about this Tom Cotton cat. He said some stuff, right? I'm going to talk about this. So check this out and be right back.
Senator Tom Cotton, you also, in the eye of the storm, you like to take on red hot issues, including the 1619 Project. And here's part of your interview with the Arkansas Democratic Gazette. Quote, "We have to study the history of slavery and its role and impact on the development of our country, because otherwise we can't understand our country. As the founding fathers said, it was the necessary evil upon which the Union was built, but the Union was built in a way, as Lincoln said, to put slavery on the course to ultimate extinction." Some say that was insensitive.
Well, that is fake news, Brian. That's not what I said. What I said is that many founders believed that only with the Union and the Constitution could we put slavery on the path to its ultimate extinction. That's exactly what Lincoln said. Of course, slavery is an evil institution in all its forms at all times, in America's past or around the world today. But the fundamental moral principle of America is right there in the Declaration. All men are created equal. And the history of America is the long and sometimes difficult struggle to live up to that principle. That's a history we ought to be proud of, not the historical revisionism of the 1619 Project, which wants to indoctrinate America's kids and teach them to hate America. That America was founded not on human freedom, but on racism. To think that slavery was not an aberration, but the true heart of America. That's why leading historians like James McPherson or Gordon Wood have debunked the 1619 Project. That's why I've introduced legislation to ensure that federal tax dollars don't go to teaching it. The New York Times should not be teaching American history to our kids.
And we are back, black, right? They're not showing that right because I think that got cut off somewhere on there. I think you need to show from there because that's not the whole title of it, is it? Okay, so show the whole title of that. Go there. Okay. Okay, so what you see there, that's what it should be. Somehow the other part got cut off on there. Got Tom Cotton called slavery necessary evil, an attack of New York Times 1619 project. Let me say that again. Tom Cotton called slavery necessary evil, an attack on New York Times 1619 project, right? And so you've seen the video, you've seen what he said directly from his own words. He's an Arkansas Republican. Name again is Tom Cotton, right? Of all names, Cotton, dealing with slavery, right? Well, we know tobacco was the main product and cotton came later, but the fact is his name Cotton. And he had called the enslavement of millions of African people the necessary evil upon which the Union was built. Okay? Let's say necessary evil, right? Without it, without it, it wouldn't be what it is. It had to be done, otherwise, And so a lot of people say that he is a possible presidential candidate in 2024, right? And they have published that in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette back on Sunday. And so what he was speaking, as you kind of heard in that video, about supportive legislation he introduced on Thursday that aims to prohibit the use of federal funds to teach the 1619 project, right? Ain't that something? He's trying to get support in legislation so that they don't put any money in to teach the 1619 project. Okay? And based on the 1619 project is, again, the initiative from the New York Times that reframes United States history around August 1619, the arrival slave ships of American shores for the first time, right? Now, again, they say arrival of slave ships, but they're not saying peoples, right? Because I have some publications that talk about that, and it talks about that whole 1619. Again, that was some other ships that was on this way towards, I think, might have been Mexico, that got, captured, and ship was retaken and brought to, and that's how that ended up being. It wasn't like it was originally coming to the United States, right? And so this act that he's trying to come up with is called the Saving American History Act of 2020. Now look at this. As I just told you earlier, that I believe that a lot of those who are out there protesting that so many white is because of the burden of history, the true history, not the revised history that they want to teach. Because you heard him also in the video talk about how that, something like the 1619 project wants to teach that America was built on racism and hatred. See, again, black people truth versus other people's truth. Your truth ain't true. Your truth is what we say to it is to be true. Even though the books that we read in the history that you wrote says exactly what we're talking about. But because the 1619 project is trying to go into well, I guess it's already doing this. It's to be taught is, I think, starting in New York, right, from K to 12. And so what he wants to do is get enough support to pass his Saving American History Act so that they can't teach that, because they believe, right, that this is a flawed history of the 1619 Project, right? And they say the base premise of the 1619 Project is that America is at the root a systematically racist country to the core and irredeemable. Now, let's just take that, because again, certain people have little issues with some of the people who were a part of that 1619 project. But we're going to go from the point that what they're saying. Is that America at the root a systematically racist country to the core? Is that a true statement? Are we, everything is about right now? What they say, if you don't know history, it is doomed to repeat itself, right? Those who don't know their history don't know where they come from or where they're going, right? Now, all we are byproducts. We are the sum totals of what history has entailed in this country. Some of us have different history because people came from different locations, came to Ellis Island, you know, and there's a whole lot of different types of histories out here. But the sum total, we're all part of those experiences that the people before us, you know, however that whole transaction took place, we're all the byproducts of that. And so here's a people who, to this day, that I will actually play for you a little later, that their Attorney General was asked a question as to the systematically racist part, and does that mean it's in every facet in this country? Right? So the question is to the core. But I think the whole thing that this holding, the whole hope they want you to hold on is, yeah, they know this at the root of America and it was systematically racist. But they don't want it to believe that they're irredeemable. That's the truth to it. You're saying we can't change. Huh? That is the whole thing that they hold, which means you're trying, that's like saying, you know, it's kind of like watching your favorite monster movie or horror movie or killer movie. If you ever, could you watch enough Jason movies and realize that one day Jason was like, no more. He ain't gonna do no more of that. He just gonna just put the knife down. I'm gonna get him a job, be a damn chef and cook, got a family and shit. He'd be like, what happened to Jason? I was a straight killer. He was irredeemable, right? Right? So that's what they saying. They don't want to be deemed that. They feel like they're irredeemable. They're not irredeemable. But again, we're talking about 400 years and the same persisting situations. How long does it take a people? So another 400 years? I mean, come on, man. What would you think that is okay? After so long, after a while, you got to say irredeemable, because people done came and left on this planet doing everything to get you to do right, and you done everything to reverse, undermine, slant, whatever thing they were trying to make progress. Again, the whole stuff about what? What is this about? Today's show about? Go back to that again. Let me go back and show that again. Let's go back and show that again, all right? Go back and show that again. Now we gotta go back and show that again. All right? Right? Necessary evil or pretending progress. You'll tell us it's a necessary thing. It had to do what it is. But the thing is that the truth of the matter is we're not a racist country to the core, and that we're not, as the people who it was, and we are the descendants of, we're not irredeemable to change. See, you get to say everything. You don't allow anybody else to be able to really diagnose or give their conclusion to the story. You're going to write the story, you're going to revise the story, and you're going to say what It don't work like that. I know that's how y'all get down, but in actuality, it don't work like that. So all this is pretending progress. The necessary evil is just nothing but a pretending progress. So you believe in that irredeemable. You know, I know that it said in that Bible, it talked about that. How many times are you supposed to forgive a person? Say 777 times, right? What happens once you get past 777? You know what I'm saying? When you get past, let me say that again. You know, in the Bible, it talks about that you are to forgive a man 777 times. But what happens when you get to 777? When you go to 778, what happens then? You know what I'm saying? Now, at the time when everybody doing the writing, 777 times, that's a lot. Nobody could be that kind of, when you get 777 times. But if you in a place and you had to put the collective of all the people and had to tally up all the incidences, you beyond irredeemable. Not because I say so, but what would be the number for you of irredeemable? So he goes on and he rejects that root and branch. The root and the branch, right? Root and branch. That's kind of like on that back of that dollar bill where that eagle got that olive branch in his, you know, and then the other hand got an arrow in it, right? I mean, you got war on one hand, he sent that branch to you, but guess what? We never seen the branch. There's never been a branch set out. And yet, seeing the conditions of all the things that's happening right now, this nation is being judged from afar. This nation is being judged. You try to let the 400 years slide by like, okay, we did some little, you know what I'm saying, some little fake ceremony in Virginia, but we're not going to address that. Well, we did that over in Africa. We took you over to Africa, return, and all that. But you were never going to admit it. So guess what happened after that? Did y'all just notice that, you know, when that happened, that shit, as soon as January came, it just went from one thing to the next, to February, to March, and we've been here ever since. You think this ain't got nothing to do with it? Nothing to do with it? Okay. So they believe America is a great and noble country, founded on a proposition that all mankind is created equal. Wait a minute. Great and noble country. Yes, it did, because guess what? You got some great noble people here. Right? But you talking about this proposition that all mankind is created equal. Yeah, but they don't make it true just because it says that. Now, if you're going to get the tired, hungry, and poor from other lands and bring him here and give him a piece of bread and then go and put a microphone in front of his face and say, how you love the country? Shit, he eating his damn fingers off and something. Yeah, this is great. This is a wonderful country, right? He'd say something like that. But I asked that one that been here from day one. He'd be like, man, he got a whole entire different story, don't he? He have another entire different damn story, right? And talking about created equal. How is that possible when you look at the people on the saying that deem black people as monkeys, deem black people as non-humans, so it's just total contradictory to what you try to say as a fact, but when you line it up, it's kind of like the same thing when they talk about when they were talking about that, having a debate about the anti-Semitism with Louis Farrakhan, Minister Louis Farrakhan. They don't want to have that conversation because you want it to be a unilateral conversation. You say your answer is correct and no one is to check your hand. Because you know what'll end up happening if you check your hand and put side by side facts versus what you purport to be. They will never match up. But they always say we have always struggled to live up to the promise. Okay. Okay, you say struggle. Okay. But while you've been struggling, right? While you're struggling to deal with trying to live up to that promise, right? Your struggle is we're dealing with your struggle in real time. Your struggle is trying to get yourself to do right, but you can't get right. And while you can't get right, we're dealing with your can't rightness. And so it's like, well, be patient and try to get people dying from that. People living in squalor because of that. You understand? How much more time of the bullshit is what motherfucker going to keep pushing the bullshit? That's all it is, right? No country has ever done more to achieve it. What do you mean no other country has done order to achieve it? Let's be honest here, man. Let's be honest. When you go around the damn world, and then when they talk about third worlds and shithole countries, can you ever be honest why these countries are third world and shithole countries? Are they only because they like that? Or have people gutted out the resources of their land and keep them from being in? You understand? But see, when you sell that, it's like, who y'all talking to? Who you talking to when y'all saying that? No country has done more to achieve what? Achieve the struggle to live up to the promise? You haven't achieved anything. You say you're struggling at living up to it. So what have you achieved in the struggle? Ask the people who that pertains to. You can't be the one struggling and have the end of the answer at the same damn time. You want to answer the question and you want to read the question and answer the damn question. Who is that pertaining to? Ask them. Oh, no. You don't want to hear what they say. Oh, hell no. It'll never be right. It was up to you guys. We have to study the history of slavery. Why do you have to study the history of slavery? You mean to tell me that all these magnificent, glorified people, that with all them statues and all these buildings and all this money with people on there, that white folks in this country have no idea of history? Is that what they trying to say? Are y'all trying to say that y'all so naive about what took place in history that y'all go on plantations to get married? Huh? You go to colonial plantations to have marriages, but you know nothing about the damn plantations. See? All that is fluff. All that is just, well, let's bullshit them some more. Let's bullshit them some more. And that's all that is. You're just bullshitting, right? Study the history of slavery and its role and impact on the development of our country, because otherwise we can't understand our country. What? Why do you have to study the history when you can see, again, as I said at the beginning of my show, we are the present generation who give honor to our ancestors. Look at the people today who are the descendants of that what you talk about that you need to read. Look at their condition. Look at their position. You don't need to read. They are a living testimony to the thing that you say you struggle to live up to. This great and noble country founded on a proposition that all mankind is created equal. Look at the people who come from that. You don't need to read it. You can see it. You can see it. Now again, all this, our founding father said it was the necessary evil upon which the Union was built. Again, as I said earlier with Mike Dicker, just like those people who was in that store with them swastikas, your ass can be wrong. I don't give a hell about you stamping some damn founding fathers. Could they be wrong? Can you admit they was wrong? If you can't admit that they was wrong, then there ain't gonna never be no right. But just using these magnanimous words to try to glorify and put somebody, pedestalize them, if that's such a word, to put them on a pedestal and say, well, yeah, they say it was a necessary evil to build the Union upon, but the Union was built in a way, and then try to throw Abraham Lincoln, and Lincoln told you straight up, he didn't do shit about emancipating slaves. And matter of fact, let's be honest. Just the problem, you don't want to be honest about nothing. Abraham Lincoln did not emancipate the slaves. He only emancipated those in Washington, D.C. Let me say that again, because they like lying. Abraham Lincoln did not emancipate the damn slaves. Damn slaves because that was my ancestors. But I just said that. Let me take that. He did not emancipate the slaves. Only those in Washington, D.C. The ones that was in the South were considered what? The rebel states. He told you in the debate with Douglas, he didn't care whether the slaves, my ancestors were free or not. And even afterwards, you still try to take them to Liberia. So don't try to make it seem like y'all trying to make like Abraham Lincoln was this great person. He only did what he had to do because of the dilemma that was happening. Right? And he told you straight up, he didn't give one care of sense whether it is or not. If it's going to save the Union, I'll do whatever I got to do to save the Union. And to put slavery on the course of its ultimate extinction. What does that mean? Till black people are dead in this country? To put slavery on the course to its ultimate extinction? So black people who in this country, who can't live up to whatever you say, man is created equal in this country, the great noble country that is founded on, you can't redeem him, you can't repair him, you won't reparate him. Where does he belong in this so-called thing that you building? That's why the Creator has to do what he's doing. That's why this country is being put in what it's at right now. You can't do right. Nobody's going to keep sitting around waiting on you until either you do right, or it's kind of like Seeley and what was that, Color Purple. Everything, and it's until you do right by me, nothing you gonna do from this point forward ever gonna work. Let me say that again. Everything that you do from this point forward will not manifest until you do right by me. See, y'all like playing with that. You like talking that shit. And y'all know it's full of shit when y'all say that shit. You know it's full of shit. But it's like y'all think y'all just talking over people. Oh, yeah, no, this is shit, right? So that Nicole Hannah Jones, who considered to be a Pulitzer Prize for a commentary, right, on the essay on this project, 1619 project, she responded, and tweeted something. And she said, like, if chattel slavery, heritable, generational, permanent, race-based slavery, where it was legal to rape, torture, and sell human beings for profit, were a necessary evil, as Tom Cotton says, it's hard to imagine what cannot be justified if it's a mean to an end. Meaning, chattel slavery was selling my peoples. You can inherit my people. It could go on for generations. It was a permanent status. Slavery was a race-based slavery. It was more about these people here than anybody else. It was legal to rape, torture, sell them for profit, right? And say all that I just said and the necessary evil that Tom Cotton says, she said, well, it should be hard to imagine that you can't even justify that. How can that be a means to an end? How can that be a means to an end? Imagine thinking a non-divisive curriculum is one that tells black children the buying and selling of their ancestors, the rape, torture, the forced labor of their ancestors for profit was just a necessary evil. But yet, the other day, when that story broke, where that individual sat there and put his knee on the white boy's neck, y'all lost y'all damn mind. They lost their damn mind about that. But that was just that image. They said the boy went to the hospital, was nothing wrong with him. It was more of the public backlash. We're not condoning saying what it was right, but we're saying this. You freaked out on just that image. What you think when you had at will where there was no calling the police and you could do whatever you wanted? Could you imagine some of the most heinous things that could never probably ever be told because then nobody was there to tell it? Can you imagine? No, you can't. But you justify it was a necessary evil. And that it was going to ride itself out eventually. So, was slavery foundational to the Union on which it was built or not? Was it? If it was the foundation core of what the Union needed to get the Union set, he said it himself. He said that. So something that became the core that made this hop off and be what it became, why you don't owe them nothing? Why you don't owe the descendants nothing? You don't owe them nothing. They sitting here contemplating on about $600 for those who even had a damn job. Some of them made more money that money still wouldn't be enough. But to just say those who, again, like certain places were just getting the $15, didn't get a chance to really take because January came, it cut and killed all that off. They sitting there talking about, well, $600 is not working. They're getting way more money. Wow. But most of them that you're talking about are coming from people who, again, we're talking about this necessary evil, who are the foundation that again you built this place that you go around the world say is the greatest place, is the great on the planet, and these people have never benefited truly from it. You would not deal with them and go get everybody else so that you never had to deal with them. And we want to read about it. We want to do all this other stuff. Or you're going to try to teach and say that we was this and this. It is what it is. It is what it is. Right? So when you talk about means to an end, you got to think of it like this: something done only to produce a desired result for, right? So you only did slavery to get a desired result, which is what? To be the greatest country on the planet. So you use the people, souls, body, mind, spirits, generationally, and threw them away like they were disposable. And you say redeemable. You still hold on and not admitting that that was wrong. And then you say, well, we're just saying we're irredeemable. Shit. We talking about the generations from that. And still what? Hey, like they say, man, vampire don't have no reflection. Because if you looked in the damn mirror and looked at yourself and really had that deep down look and look at yourself and ask yourself a couple questions and be honest with yourself. So I know everybody like to paint themselves a certain way. Why I'm this person and status and yeah, but what'd you do to get it? See, a lot of that, all that fluff, title and positions and all that. What'd you do to get it? Right? Oh man, I tell you, man, these people crazy, man, crazy. But don't say that, right? Can't say that. I can't even believe that, man, right? It's crazy. So Necessary evil, y'all. See? Anything to take away the fact that what you have endured and what your family and generations and ancestors have endured, they got a soft landing for it. We're going to deny it all the way. And that's fine. That's your choice. But they say you make the bed, you lay in it. Because some odd reason they think that they're not laying in it. Unless that everything that is happening, you are remote controlling doing it, then you should ask yourself, what done happened in this country that's got us in this position? Right? Either you are the authors writing the script to everything that is manifesting, and if you're not, then you better ask yourself, then what's really happening that's doing this? And if you can come to the summation and answer that truly, you got your answer. You got the answer that you're seeking for. Well, you ain't take my word for it. I'm nobody, right? I'm just some nigga on the damn YouTube who just talking about got to show Black Minds News. Remember, it's freedom. Who the hell is you? You're nobody. You have no status. I don't know. You're not lettered. Right? He giveth and he taketh away. Right? Giveth and taketh away. All your pomp and pride and all don't mean nothing. Because every one of them that was before you, they done dealt with it too. And we all gonna deal with it. See, the problem is, they say, well, what was it? Wasn't they CK? It was CK? Well, I think they CJ. He said, right now we're number one. One day we're gonna drop. So for right now, right? Because in the end, right? In the end, it is going to be what it's going to be. Ain't nothing going to be able to do to change that. Hey, I'm just a messenger. You can take it or leave it alone. I know they don't believe in none of that. They got their own thing. Many of us, we like following that. We think that that's the all-be-all game. Your life is only but a blink. Once you know it's over with, they say on your tombstone, your birth date and the death date. But you know what they say the most important part is on your tombstone? That slash, the in between there. What did you do? Well, this is another Black Minds News Live report. When you see your brother, greet your brother. What's good, brother? What's good, brother? See your sister. What's good, sister? What's good, brother? If you can't do that much, at least give a universal nod. You know how we do when we see each other, huh? No, we living in these days and time when we living at a crossroad where many, if not all, are seeking for our demise. So it is incumbent that we stay vigilant, mindful, high spirit, and being able to read the signs of the times. Yeah, I know they want to tell you this and they want to tell you that, but one thing has been shown, as I said just a few minutes ago, either they are the authors writing this script or the script is being written for them. So they can keep playing all they want. They can keep denying what the obvious and the truth is. Everything is seen that you're trying to set up and make some kind of moves to try to put us in a position. The greatest chess player that ever lived, keep revealing to us when it's y'all hands in it. Y'all can't understand how we keep seeing it. Because why? He got his people in positions. He got everybody that's supposed to be doing what they're supposed to do, doing what they're supposed to do. Now, those who are in it for money, they in it for money. The others who are in it because that is what they built here to do and they came here to do. Oh, the revealing, the unfailing, the unfolding is happening. So it's just a matter of time. So the decisions is in their hand. You know how it's like, okay, you make the call. Everything is in your hand. So it's up to you to make the call. It's not on us. It's on you. So this has been another Black Minds News Report. To the next show, y'all. To the next show.